All right, remember us talking about the test tomorrow? We reviewed addition, subtraction, and multiplication in class today. So tonight in the video, we're going to review some division problems. All right, so the first one we're going to review is when I have a complex fraction. And when you first look at that, it kind of looks like -3 divided by 7 divided by 9 divided by 4. But because of what we've talked about in class, we know all we have to do is start off by rewriting that question so it makes a little bit more sense to us. All right, so the 3/7 is on top and the 9/4 is on bottom. And they're separated, of course, with a fraction bar, which is the same thing as a division symbol. All right, so according to your legal notes, when I have a fraction being divided by a fraction, all I have to do is keep it, change it, flip it. All right, so keep it, -3/7, change it into multiplication, and flip it. The bottom number becomes the top number, and the top number becomes the bottom number. So now I have a multiplication question. To multiply fractions, all we do is top times top, bottom times bottom. So 3 times 4. All of that over 7 times 9. All right, you see anything there? Yep, if you're paying close attention, you see that the 3 and the 9 have a common number, have a common factor that goes into them. 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into 9 3 times, right? So now I have 1 times 4, that's 4. 7 times 3, that's 21. Now, if I simplified everything that I was supposed to simplify here, then I shouldn't have to simplify it all over here. Well, we just want to make sure that we're good. 4 over 21, there isn't anything that goes into 4 and 21. Now remember, what's the last thing I always ask myself when I'm done with a problem? What is the sign of the answer? All right, so on my original question, I have a negative and a positive. That means that it is different signs. And on a division question, different signs means negative answer. All right, so that's a reminder of when you have a complex fraction question. All you got to do is rewrite it, keep it, change it, flip it. All right. Next question. Let's go with something that looks like this. Kind of looks like a mixed number, doesn't it? I mean, not a mix, sorry, an improper, right? But isn't that a division problem? So 56 here, 7 here, right? 7 goes into 56, doesn't go into the 5. So I'll put the 0, subtract and get, not 0 here, excuse me, and get a 5 here. Then I drop that 6 down, 7 goes into 56, 8 times. Now, if I divide it perfectly and I end up with a 0 here, should I go ahead and do the whole number, numerator, denominator thing? I mean, if I write that, that's 8 and 0/7. Does that really have any value? 0 over 7? If I have 7 pieces of candy over there, how much do I have in my hand? 0. That's 0 out of 7. That's what that is. So what do I have in my hand? I got nothing. So this is equal to nothing. So whenever I do a division problem and I end up with a 0 after I subtract, this has no value. So I can act like that's not there. Since there's no value, just don't put it there. So 8. Now what's the last question I asked myself? What's the sign of my answer? Negative. All right. Okay. Let's do a couple more here pretty quickly. Actually, one more here pretty quickly. -33.135 divided by -14.1. Which number goes on the inside every time? It's always the top number. And then 14.1 goes right there. Can you divide by a decimal? You cannot, can you? So in order to solve this problem correctly, I've got to move this one time because I'm making it into a whole number. To make the 14.1 into a whole number, I move the decimal over one time, and that moves the decimal at the end of it, because if I move it at the end, that makes it a whole number. Now here's the thing I got to remember. If I do it on the outside, got to do it on the inside also. So take the decimal there. I only moved it once on the outside, so I'm only going to move it once on the inside. Now, just for kind of pretty math purposes, I'm just going to rewrite my question. So instead of 14.1, it's 141. Instead of 33.135, it's 131.35. Now I got to start dividing. 141 doesn't go into 3. Drop the 3 down. 141 doesn't go into 33. All right, now I've got to figure out how many times it goes into 331. All right, that means I'm over here, I'm just trying to figure that out. I'm just multiplying. I'm going to go with 2 because it's not that high. That's 2, 8, and 2. 282, that's good. So I'm going to put a 2 right here. 282. Subtract. I have to borrow here. Makes this into a 2. Makes that into an 11. 11 minus 2 is 8. Y'all with me here? Let's take a second to slow down for a second. I had to borrow here because I couldn't subtract, right? So the 1 I borrowed and made that a 2. This went up to an 11. So 11 minus 2 is not 8. That is 9. 2 and 8. Can't subtract that again, so I have to borrow again. Makes this a 2, makes that a 12. So 12 minus 8 is 4, and then 2 minus 2, of course, is 0. All right. What did I forget to put? Let me rephrase that. When I begin a question that has a decimal on the inside, what should I do before I start dividing? That's a mistake on Mr. Darden's part. All right, what should I have done before I started dividing? You want to go ahead and get this step taken care of. Before I start dividing, I should have slid that decimal up. I apologize for that. All right, so now let's keep going. Remind you where I am. Okay, it wouldn't fit into 3, wouldn't fit into 33. It fit 2 times inside of 331. I subtracted and got a 49. What's my next step? Drop the 3 down, right? All right, so now I've got to figure out how many times that goes into 493. Still not too high. I'm going to go with 3. That's 3, 12, carry the 1, 3, 4, 423. That's good. That's good. All right, so put a 3 here. Put a 423 right here. What is 0, 7? No, what do I do? Correct. You got to drop the other number down to 705. All right. Now that's big. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to multiply it by 5. That's 5. 20. Carry the 2 there. 5, 6, 7. Look at there. Got it. 705. So I'll put the 5 right here. 705 right down there. Subtract and get that 0. Which makes this a terminating decimal. So 2.35. Is it going to be positive or negative? This is my original question, right? All right, so on division, if they have the same sign, what's my answer going to be? Positive. All right, so you got reminded on what to do with fractions. All right, that's the keep it, change it, flip it. You got reminded what to do when you had a decimal on the outside. You can't do it if it's on the outside. You got to move it until it's a whole number. If If I move it on the outside, I got to move it on the inside. After I do that, don't be like Mr. Darden. Make sure you slide that decimal up first before you start dividing. All right. This video is getting kind of long, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here. There was one more I was going to do. Just remember this, tomorrow on your test, you can't use mixed numbers when you're doing division. You've got to change it to an improper, okay? On division, if they have the same sign, both positive, both negative, positive answer. If they got different signs, negative answer, all right? Study your legal notes. Good luck on your test tomorrow.